Surah Al-Ghashiyah. Surah Ghashiyah was one of the earliest surahs when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ openly invited people to Islam. At that time, he focused on two main themes: belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the afterlife or the Day of Judgment. But most people of Mecca were careless and ignored him. To wake up those careless people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started the surah by asking the people if they know when a great disaster or Qiyamah, the resurrection day, will come. Because it will affect everyone, and no people will live at that point. Then, on the Day of Judgment, all the people will get their lives back. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give rewards to the good people and punish the bad people. The people will be so scared that their whole body will feel shaky and they will not be able to move. They will be very sad and ashamed. Their eyes will be lowered in fear because of all the bad things they did in their lives. When they realize that all their hard work on earth will be useless to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they will be very hopeless and tired. As a punishment for their bad actions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will throw them into the hot burning fire. They will be so thirsty, but the only thing they get to drink is super hot water from a spring. Imagine drinking water that is hotter than a burning soup. And when they're hungry, the only food they will be able to eat, the only food they will get is a plant called Dawah. It will be like very bitter thorns and will burn more than the hellfire. It is like eating something we found on the ground that is all sharp, yucky, and burning hot. This food won't give them any energy or make their tummies feel full or stop their hunger. Instead, it will be like eating air. It's a punishment for them because they did bad things and made life hard for others. After talking about what happens to people who do bad things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us what will happen to good people in heaven, when their faces will become full of joy. For the good people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them a very comfortable and cozy life in heaven because of all the good things that they did in this world. The good people worked hard to be good and follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's laws and order. In heaven, they will have amazing things like high thrones in a very beautiful garden, beautiful springs and fountains, and fancy cups ready for them to drink from. They will also have comfy cushions to sit on and very beautiful carpets spread out. It will be the most luxurious place ever. But it is not just about the fancy stuff. In heaven, there's no lying, no arguing, no sadness, and no bad words. Everyone is at peace, surrounded by beauty, and served by friendly neighbors. The best part is that they get to be close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, feeling His love and being happy with Him. It is way better than anything we can imagine here on earth. So, heaven is the perfect paradise where good people get to enjoy endless happiness and peace, surrounded by beauty and love. It's the ultimate reward for being good and pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After talking about heaven and its blessings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions some examples of His amazing creations as signs of His power. First, He says to look at camels. Camels are strong and carry heavy loads. They can go without water for a long time and can eat thorny plants. They're like the ships of the desert. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us to look at the sky. The sky is high and full of stars and galaxies. It is mind-blowing to think about how it all stays in place without falling down on us. Next, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about mountains. Mountains are like big shields that protect the earth. They store water and provide quiet places for thinking. Finally, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the earth. Rain washes away mountains and spreads their dust to make the land flat and fertile. It is amazing to think about how the world was made perfectly, right for us to live on. All these things show Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power and wisdom. They remind us of how amazing our Creator is. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam to remind people about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's power and blessings to us. But he tells the Prophet to not force anyone to accept Islam. Instead, he should guide them to the right path in the most beautiful and best way. Everyone has the choice to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not, but they will be responsible for their actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the end. So, the Prophet's job is to teach and guide, but he cannot force anyone to listen. It is up to each person to choose their path, knowing that they will have to return to Allah on the Day of Judgment, and the good people will be rewarded in heaven. Bad people will get punished in the scary burning hellfire. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from the hellfire and guide each and every one of us to the right path in this world and send us to the highest place in heaven in the next. Ameen. Important facts of Surah Al-Ghashiyah. Number 1. The name of Surah Al-Ghashiyah comes from the first sentence of this surah. Number 2. Surah Al-Ghashiyah has 26 short sentences. Number 3. The meaning of Ghashiyah is overwhelming. And finally, number 4. Surah Al-Ghashiyah is the 88th chapter of the Quran. So, with all of this Quranic information, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us understand the lessons of this surah and apply the lessons into our life. Ameen. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum.